Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. I'm a Forbes contributor covering social entrepreneurship and impact investing. And today we are especially fortunate to have with us Joel Solomon, who is the founder and chair of the Renewal Funds, a great impact investing firm up in Vancouver, British Columbia. Joel, we're thrilled to have you on the show today. Thanks for making time for us.
I really appreciate being here, and thanks for the kind words.
Well, Joel, you're doing some amazing work, but tell us a little bit about the fund you run, a little bit about some of the companies you've invested in. Just give us an orientation, if you would, to what you're doing.
Be delighted. So we're $98 million assets under management. We call it Mission Venture Capital, and our primary focuses are on organic foods, greener consumer products, and green technologies. We invest in Canada and the US. Our investors are from both countries. And one interesting thing about us is it's mostly private families, individuals, and we're supported a lot by people that are interested in aligning their money more with their values.
It is an interesting aspect that I've seen over and over, is that it is the family money, the individual money, not institutional money, that has been leading the way in impact investing. And interesting to hear you confirm that. It will be exciting, and I think we're beginning to see that as institutions join the fray, because there's a lot of money there, but very, very interesting. So Joel, tell us a little bit about your philosophy on investing.
We want to find people and entrepreneurs who really care about something and making a change in the world. We want to know there's a good team. A lot of things that are just standard to typical investing, but it's a mission first idea. And we're participating in industries that we think are tomorrow's industries. These are, you could say they're reforms on existing ways that things are done, but there's a tremendous demand growing as generational transfer of responsibility and influence happens. Younger people are better informed. There's more information because of technology, more transparency. And we see that there is what we think is an unstoppable growth in demand for cleaner products that treat people better, think about community better, and that this is a trend that we think is, for better or worse, still early, but has a huge growth potential to it.
So what I think I hear you saying is that investing in clean tech, green tech, and organic is not just a mission-driven objective, but a good financial objective, because that trend will grow.
That's right. And we got in early for some decades ago. I did personally because of some personal journey and reasons that just caused me to think about these things. But I found it to be very exciting to find companies that had big growth potential in areas that were being overlooked by conventional investing. And for example, in the organic food sector, we've had huge growth. There's companies making a lot of money and big valuations, but yet organic food is still less than 10% of the North American food dollar, and much lower than that internationally. So it's a good-sized industry that's got robust growth, but there's still lots of opportunities to come. I would say about green technology, if I might, that one of the things that's important in driving these trends is that we've all, however we got here, I want to assume the best of people's intentions, and we did the best we could. And we invented an economy based on how we thought the world was. I was born when there were less than 3 billion people on the planet. We're at 7 now, and it's still growing. We're much more aware of our impact on nature and the natural resources. We understand a lot more about health. We understand what we're putting in our bodies matters. We know that our energy systems, our transportation systems, our built environment, food systems, pretty much all parts of the economy are going through reform that has to do with more efficiency and better practices. And this is being rewarded in the marketplace. We see things like the divest movement and some of the challenges with fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are not going away anytime soon, but the rise of alternatives and newer, more modern methods are coming down in price and are also creating great economic opportunities.
Yes, and it does seem to be also carrying over to reduce the economic returns on fossil fuels as well. That seems to be a corollary. Are you seeing that as well?
Well, that's what it looks like right now. That's clear. We also are pretty aware about climate at this point. I suppose there's still debate out there. In my mind, there is no debate. It's about how fast things happen, exactly what the impacts will be, what kind of adaptation happens. Will political leadership and business leadership step up quickly enough? Because there's great economic opportunity, and this is simply a next generation of smart investment, but also smart handling of society as we grow population and demand, and we attempt to create a more fair economy as well. This is another major shift that meets with the ideas of climate and cleaner, because there's an effect on people with every dollar that is deployed, one way or another, whatever the issue. And there's a growing awareness and concern and commitment to do something about that.
What do you see as being the role of capital in driving change?
Well, capital is a powerful, powerful force, as we know. And how we choose to focus our capital creates the future world. So as we accept and understand the challenge ahead of us, we can very quickly, really, if we mobilize, shift the future of history. And it's time to do that. Capital is an essential component of it. And capital is really all of us. Even those with the least money are making choices. Those in the middle class have retirement funds and bank accounts, and they have purchasing decisions. And I know that for myself, I've spent my lifetime questioning my own assumptions as much as I can to be a continual learner. And I think that it's important now that we look at where our dollars are, whether we are major capital placing investments or whether we're individual people looking at how we deploy our money, to see what the impact of that is, and does it align with who we are as people? Does it portray our values in the world and the future that we want for our children's children's children? The more of us that do that grows a demand that causes, let's say, conventional long-held assumptions and how money is managed and how where it is put, to start getting more creative and innovative. So it's a demand set that goes from the consumer level, the individual, all the way up to major wealth management. And we know that most Wall Street, Bay Street are all looking and attempting to understand what is this next iteration of how the global economy and our local economies happen. So there's a lot of change afoot. It's also a fantastic opportunity for people inventing new products and new ways of operating in the financial world.
I want to go back, Joel, if you'll be patient with me, to something you hinted at a few minutes ago. You talked about your personal journey to this place,
yes.
your decision. Can you share a little bit of that? I don't want to ask you to share anything that's too personal or too private, but I want to ask you to share everything you can.
Okay, Devin, I'm a fairly open person about those things. I'm from a family that, and I inherited a genetic condition that it's called polycystic kidney disease. But early on in my life, I was told that I was going to die, that there was nothing I could do about it, and it could be sooner or it could be later. This was a great gift that helped me orient towards my life purpose much better. And I took some years to really struggle with this. I came from a successful family of shopping mall developers. And I was thinking about things a lot. How would I devote my precious lifetime towards a legacy and towards doing something that was meaningful? So this led me first to think about, what do I put in my body? And there was a common sense to the fact that the kidney is the filter. So how much load do I want to put on the kidney if it's already weak? And the good news is that about 7.5 years ago, a close friend gave me her kidney. I lived long enough to be in modern science, and I was the first in my genetic lineage on my father's side to live through this condition.
Wow. Do you attribute some of your longevity prior to that surgery to your diet?
Who knows? I believe that by deciding that I wanted to pay attention to how I treated myself, and by the way, diet is one component, but I would also refer to emotional, psychological, spiritual dimensions, and how we see the world, I think has a big impact on peacefulness, happiness, focus, ability to accomplish things. And so I think it was a whole package of simply having myself forced to think about what's the best way to lead a more fulfilled life where I'm happier and more at peace with what I'm doing in the world and what my impact is. So I do think that helped a lot.
I appreciate you sharing that deeply personal aspect of your story, because it's powerful and important. And I know many people who are watching can relate to that. I want to ask you a couple of follow-up personal questions. I hope you'll bear with me, Joel, but you've become a role model to lots of people. You're well known and very well regarded in the social venture network and more broadly in the social venture community and impact investing community. You know, you're a real player and you are highly, highly regarded and respected. Who do you look up to as a role model in turn?
Well, I would say that I had the opportunity to study at the knees of giants early on. I'd like to give some credit to the Social Venture Network, which I was at the founding meeting of 28 years ago or something like that. And I actually was given a fantastic business school opportunity by listening to the stories of Anita Roddick and Body Shop and Gary Hirschberg and Stonyfield Yogurt and the Ben and Jerry's guys and Patagonia and many of these companies that were operating out of passion and values and deep beliefs and going against the grain and attempting to build businesses that integrated community, people, and ecology into making money. So there was the one side there of seeing entrepreneurs who gave me some inspiration to go forward. The other part, which included advisors like Dr. Andrew Weil, I would have to say my mother, who was a real explorer and is an 85-year-old photography artist who's still producing books and shows, who got me exposed to a lot of other dimensions of the planet and its people. So there are many, many mentors. I think I was, these days you get the concept of mentor seems to have really been promulgated among young people. So you hear that term a lot. I didn't really know I was looking for or needed mentors, but in retrospect, I immersed myself in getting to know them and learning from them. And that's created really a kind of a lifetime ecology of long-term learning and sharing and passing on and learning together with people. And I would say with larger society, as we all figure out the kind of conditions we've got and what we can do to make a more just and humane and resilient life for future generations.
Joel, I wonder if you would share with us something that you do every day, some habit, pattern, strategy that you deploy in order to have more impact. Because everyone who's watching, wherever they come from, wants to do more good, wants to have more impact, and you're doing it, you're having impact. Tell us how we can do it, how we can do the same.
That's a big question, Devin, but I'll share a little bit of that. Well, the first is questioning assumptions. I mentioned that earlier. So you do that by yourself. It's good to take a look at what choices am I making. In fact, the word choice is a huge one. If we can simply pay attention to every single choice that we make, that is a practice that holds a lot of depth to it. And when I say make a choice, consider the whole picture. Where am I focusing my energy? Where am I who am I associating with? And how can I get clearer about the legacy that I want to leave, being given this opportunity of a lifetime? And so how do I surround myself with people that support that learn to trust and love and care about things that really matter, and then face going against the grain, to be bold enough to attempt to commit ourselves to what we really believe in?
Well, I think that is really good insight. It's hard, I think, for some of us to ask those probing questions for a variety of reasons. And I'll accept the challenge to ask more thoughtful questions. So, Joel, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. Before you go, tell us how people can learn more about what you're doing and how they can engage with you.
Well, you can find me on the big social medias under my name. I think that's probably the simple way. I do my best to respond and be respectful of people's requests and questions. And I'm involved with a number of curation of conferences and gatherings that I believe are designed to support the thing that I just said about how you get yourself on the right path. And that ranges from the Social Venture Network. I've been the host for 20 years at a place called Hollyhock, that's up the coast from Vancouver, where we've hosted the Social Venture Institute that I learned from Social Venture Network. And that is a cross-sectoral, intergenerational, peer learning type of conferencing that we do. And I believe very much in the power of convening and in finding support from that can validate and help lift you during the hard times, resources of expertise and things like that. So I'm a very relational type person, and you can find me often around networks and conferences of people that are attempting to think about how to make the world better.
Oh, fantastic. Joel, we thank you for being here with us today and wish you every success in the great work that you're doing.
You've been very kind, Devin, and I've really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. Let's do some good.